Brunson is fired up. The squad is in effect. McNutt is in here. Mr. Wilbon is back. Alan Hahn up early this morning. Brian Windhorst, the Windman, ready to roll. And we begin in the world's most famous arena. Game 2 last night. Knicks and Sixers. Knicks had won their last 3 playoff games by at least 25 points, longest such streak ever. Last night, tight one. Fourth quarter, Knicks down 2, and then Monica, it was Jalen Brunson's time.
Yeah, the Knicks did a tremendous job of getting to the paint in this one with the smaller version of this Philadelphia 76ers squad.
More Brunson dancing in the lane, Allen.
Yeah, it had to be a matchup of the point guards now in this one, and Jalen Brunson was ready for it. Tyrese Maxey dealt with a lot of defense.
4 minutes left in the game. This is one of the storylines. The Sixers had been shooting the 3 so well all night, but ran out of steam in the fourth, and then it's Brunson putting on a show.
Footwork.
Look at him dancing with the ball. He would score 26. That gives the Knicks a 4-point lead. 3.5 to play. Michael, the Sixers 1 of 10 from 3 in that fourth quarter.
After being 12 for 24, 50% three-point shooting early, and then this, and these are good looks. Open. The Knicks can play stifling defense. They just missed.
And then this was a critical moment in the game right here. I want you to watch. That's a kick out and a knock down a 3 there. But watch OG Anunoby right there. We have the spot shadow.
He normally dunks this easily.
Little quick hop there, and it's obviously bothering him there. Injures the leg, running back up the floor. You can see him limping, gestures to the bench, takes himself out, leaves and doesn't return. Update coming in a minute. Meanwhile, Tyrese Maxey takes it to the hole. He would score 26. They cut it to 5. 30 seconds left. 5-point game. Not exactly sure why Paul George hoists this one.
Yeah.
Almost looks like a desperation shot.
Almost was
it? And it was the shot clock was not running down. It's late in the game, but one way or another, that was sort of their last breath. And so the Knicks hold on, and they win one that was good to the last drop. The Knicks have now won 5 straight playoff games, tied for their second longest playoff win streak ever. Their longest since winning 6 in a row in '99. They went to the finals that year. New York now minus 1,000 to win the series after taking the 2-0 series lead. And let's start with what we know about OG Anunoby, because that feels like the most important piece of this storyline here. I mentioned in the open, the team that wins may wind up being the loser in all of this. You guys are there. Do we know anything about what to expect as far as the injury on Anunoby?
After the game, Mike Brown said that there was no update at all about him, that they were still waiting to get, medical's got to go through what they go through with him. And so right now it remains the same. There's nothing new about OG Anunoby's situation. It is something to keep an eye on, though, for Game 3. This is a guy that, while we talk about Towns and Brunson, he's shooting 61% from the field in the playoffs and 53 from three-point range. He's as critical to their success as anybody else they have on this team.
He scored 24 points last night and was his usual dominant self before leaving. And look, I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything. That looks like the way he's moving looks like players do when they have something with their hamstring. And we've seen that be so prevalent. He's had problems with it in the past. We've seen it so much in the playoffs when these guys are playing long minutes. And he played long minutes again last night.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned, Greeny, in terms of the history is probably the thing that is most alarming. Knicks fans are all too familiar with him not being quite right late into the postseason. Hopefully, though, and this is where it's going to be interesting, the schedule is important for both of these teams. Hopefully, though, the Knicks can create enough distance in this one that he has ample time to get back on the right track.
Well, that's why winning that game from a Knick perspective was so critical last night. Gives you the cushion so that if he's unavailable, you can be cautious with him, whatever it is. So, Wendy, that's that piece of it. The Anunoby injury feels like a huge piece of it. Now let's go bigger picture. The series is 2-0 Knicks. What's your number one take?
Well, this is now going to be a series that is really going to depend on who's available, because Joel Embiid, a late scratch for this game. And while the Sixers played very well and defensively they were able to do some things against the Knicks that they wouldn't have been able to do if Joel was out there. They missed Joel Embiid at the end of this game. When this game came down to the fourth quarter, when it was a possession game, the Knicks are extraordinarily comfortable in those situations. They were a top 3 clutch team in the league, and that's not a surprise. Look at how they're equipped. They have floor spacers, they have great pick and roll partners, and Jalen Brunson in isolation is simply awesome. He's one of the best clutch players in the league. But Philly didn't have that big man to throw it to. Yes, you rely on some three-point shooting, and sometimes you go cold, but this game would have had a completely different look if Philly had Joel Embiid to throw it to. And quite frankly, OG Anunoby is maybe, if not the best two-way player left in the playoffs, one of the best two-way players left in the playoffs, and his availability going forward is key. So the Knicks have a cushion here, but the injury reports coming out ahead of Game 3 will be vital.
Let's talk about Embiid a little more. All four of us at this desk were at the game last night. So before the game, I was asking anyone that I could get close to, do you think they're better off without him? Do you think they actually have a better chance to win without him? And universally, everyone said no.
No. And if they had thought that he was going to miss last night, they would have held him out Monday night. They would have held him out Game 1.
Yep.
It wasn't really strongly considered because he wanted to play. He wanted to play last night. But they saw that he was not ready physically to play. We saw how he was dragging himself back and forth on Monday in Game 1. And so by the time you see that, though, it's too late. So hindsight is they would have held him out of Game 1. He would have gotten those 3 or 4 days rest between then and Game 2 and played him last night. They'd had a much better chance in Game 2. So that's huge. Anunoby has been the Knicks' best two-way player.
Yeah.
Look, Brunson was great in clutch time because that's what Brunson does now. He was 9 for 21. The Philly defense did okay on Brunson last night. The 2 clips we saw of those great shots he hit late, they were the shots that put the Knicks ahead. But with Anunoby situation now, not knowing what it is, Embiid missing, do I expect Embiid to miss Friday night? From what I heard last night from the Sixers, no, I would not expect that. He's going to have to go through, as Alan talked about, with his medical and training staff, he's going to have to go through some things. But this is about who is going to be able to play better, be better in the moment without a critical player.
So we were talking this morning, Monica, you and I, about the impact that his absence had on the game and how through the first 3 quarters, it almost did benefit the Sixers because they sped up the tempo and their guards, their smalls, their sort of smaller lineup was working for them. But then it does appear they ran out of gas in the fourth quarter.
There were 2 things that I noted about the way the Sixers started yesterday. Yes, we knew it was going to be faster, but they also were very deliberate about being more physical with the Knicks, right? Like it was carte blanche in Game 1. And so that means bumping cutters. That means just staying attached to guys trying to get over the screen. These are all things that are basically body blows. So by the time you got to the fourth quarter, they went 8 deep by force last night. I think the preference would have actually been probably to go 7. And so you saw the stamina literally coming out of them. Now, Greeny, this was a question this morning that I looked at in terms of the Sixers, but it also applies to the Knicks now with the OG Anunoby thing. The 6th man becomes a scheduling issue for both of these teams now because there's only 1 day to recover until you force a Game 7.
And the amount of minutes that you had to have Tyrese Maxey play in this game because you didn't have Embiid. You know, the Knicks had 3 players get over 20 points. He was the only one for the Sixers that got over 20. Embiid's a guy that can get to 20 in his sleep, so that's a big difference. As you see the schedule here, there's no days off, those extra, I should say, days off that you might normally get, so there's very little time for rest, although there's not much travel between the 2 cities, which is helpful. But the question is the battle of attrition now because of this schedule when it comes to the Sixers and their limited lineup that they have, especially without Embiid. And it really is Maxey that I'm looking at. Because the Knicks defense last night, they were trapping him. Mikal Bridges did a fantastic job on him. Think about this. In the Boston series, Maxey was not turning the ball over at all, averaging under 2 turnovers a game for a guy that has the ball in his hands a ton. In 2 games so far in this series, 10 turnovers. He had 6 last night, and a lot of it was because of the force that the Knicks played with in getting the ball out of his hands, forcing him to be a passer. And when you don't have that extra option of that big guy that can draw fouls, that can draw a lot of energy and attention, I think it makes the game a lot harder when you're playing 47 minutes.
I think that note on the screen is a fascinating one. I want you to take this in for a moment. Tyrese Maxey played all but 1 minute and 12 seconds of this game. During those 1 minute and 12 seconds, they were outscored by the margin of which the game finished. He had a plus minus of 0. So when he was on the floor, the game was exactly even. During the minute and 12 he didn't play, they were outscored by 6 points, and that's the difference.
And his efficiency was going down late, too, even though he said a 0. Because, as Monica mentioned, look, the Sixers played 4 of their 5 starters, played more than 40 minutes.
Yes.
Yep.
Against, on the road, against that bump and grind defense. And so that took a toll, and Maxey was not Maxey nor Paul George. Look, just if we could graph, particularly offensively, what they did from beginning to end, it was straight down.
Literally, the arc of the 3-point line tells the story.
That's it. The 1 for 10 you talked about in the fourth quarter, Greeny, Maxey, Edgecombe, and Paul George, 0 for 8 combined.
And, Winman, on some level, I think for all this talk, it feels like for years we've talked about the Knicks as being the team that they play so many minutes. They're also tired. The Coach Thibodeau thing, that whole conversation, which it is what it was. And they didn't really have the depth. I think that really is the difference here right now. The Knicks suddenly do have depth. They do have other places to go. Their guys can hold down the fort that Karl Anthony Towns barely played in the game last night, it felt like, because of foul trouble. Go ahead,
Now
Winman.
you're talking about something.
Yeah.
All right. So the Knicks are ahead 2-0. But I don't know how long OG Anunoby is going to be out. Almost certainly he's going to get into an MRI machine today, and they're going to see what's going on in there. He missed a couple of weeks earlier this year with a hamstring injury. He missed a bunch of games in the playoffs a couple of years ago with a hamstring. Maybe it'll all turn out okay. We're not going to make any assumptions. But there's a possibility that the Knicks may not have him for a while. Karl Towns. You got to stop fouling. You just got to stop fouling. So, he had a brilliant game last night, 20, 10, and 7. His statistics are beautiful. If the Knicks are going to keep going, especially if the Knicks are going to keep going without OG Anunoby, he has got to stop fouling. Because especially if Embiid is going to be limited in this series, the way that the Knicks are obviously in great position here. They got to avoid Philly winning 4 out of 5. But if you're the Knicks, you're looking at going forward. Towns is playing so well. He is committing these fouls, and it has not hurt the Knicks yet. But I am telling you, if OG Anunoby is out and they're going to need Karl Towns to do more, he has got to be on the court. In last night's game, they got away with this because the Philly could have won this game. Mitchell Robinson was out with an illness, and so they needed Karl Towns. It was a great moment for Karl Towns to dominate, and he did. But he gets 3 fouls in the first half.
Yeah.
And then the guy they put, Huck Porty, got 4 in the first half. So going forward, Karl Towns, he's got to be out there on the court.
Wendy, in Philadelphia in Game 3, that ain't happening.
No.
My money is on that not happening.
Meaning?
And particularly Embiid's going to be out there. He didn't have to guard Embiid last night. He didn't have to match up with him at all. And calls, right?
Oh.
Nick Nurse is not the guy necessarily who's going to sit and lobby and do what Chris Finch did. He may not have to. So between on the road, playing against the big man, Karl Anthony Towns likely to be in foul trouble again.
Yeah, it could be. But if there was one observation I made that I think everyone can agree with, last night in the first half, everything was a foul. It doesn't make any difference. I'm a year older than I was when the first half of